Okay, people. So I am delighted to be joined today by Ellie Moon to talk about her late, right, young female playwright, which is, man, this is a really interesting film, Ellie. So I'm really glad AJ sent it through, and I'm glad you're able to join us today to talk about it. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Thanks.
No problem at all. I mean, yeah, this is it's your second feature,
Yeah.
right? That you wrote.
hmm Yep, that I wrote and
Yeah.
acted.
I mean, how yeah, how did you feel like, second time around coming in, right? Was it an easier process?
Yeah, I'd say it was in part because the first one was made during the kind of depth of the COVID lockdown, like kind of pre-vaccine
Mm,
impact. I think I got my vaccine like a
right.
month after, we wrapped. So yeah, it was easier in that sense. And I'd say the role probably a little bit easier as well. And then, having done it once, like riding a bike, etc., you get better and better. So yeah, no, it's really fun.
And with this story, right? Because I think it's one of those things. I think we've seen other, people try this kind of story. It doesn't always hit necessarily. So, was there any trepidation in, trying to tell this one?
I mean, when you say like other people try to make this kind of story and doesn't quite hit, do you mean like something where there's an unreliable narrator and kind of questioning what's true? Is that what you mean?
Like, the film doesn't quite work, right? It becomes a bit muddled, or they,
My film?
decide to walk.
Oh, right, right, right.
No, 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 no. In other
Right.
films.
I think there's like a delay
No.
because sometimes I'm getting like every other word and then I'm
Oh,
like having to interpret. You're in England, I'm in Toronto, maybe the internet connection. Anyway, but I was like, hey, we could talk about that if so, if you think that.
damn. Okay.
That's
No,
funny.
no, 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 no. I'm saying, like, other films. Sometimes it does. It feels like they're not quite willing to fully go into, in what this topic is. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
was there any trepidation in, trying to tell this story?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I started in one place and I ended up in another. I didn't necessarily know where I was going to go when I started writing this. I didn't write it with a plan, and it surprised me. And I definitely realized how risky and daring it was once it was finished,
Mm,
and once it was taken. So that's sort of why I decided, as much as possible, to kind of like write for the resources I had, because I knew it'd be really hard to get funding for it, to be honest, like through the kind
yeah.
of public realm, because it's so risky. So, I wrote most of the roles for the people who are playing them. Um, and, that was part of it. And I wrote for locations that I knew we could get. The film is made for like a little over $100,000. And
Okay.
I know, and it looks, Pony and Ben, Pony the director and Ben the cinematographer, Pony Nicole Herauf and Ben
Mm,
Roberts, like they really have made it look like it was made for like $2 million. Like they're
mm.
exceptional. Um, but yeah, I mean, I realized it was risky and I wouldn't say I had trepidation, but I think I've always been kind of practical that this was going to have to be made in a kind of in a passionate kind of shoestring way because it takes some big risks for sure. Yeah.
Mm. Right. Okay. So, coming in, what was your initial thinking when you started? If you weren't quite sure where it was, going to end up. So what was that initial thinking?
Yeah, well, I guess I heard a podcast episode that was a interview with Mary Oliver, and she hasn't done many interviews, and it was sort of from shortly before she died, and she was discussing how one of her poetry collections, there's a the poem is called Dreamwork, I think. I'm worried I got that wrong now, but I think it's Dreamwork. And it sort of discusses her childhood sexual abuse, but she wrote it and like for 2 decades after, believed
Mm,
it was fiction and engaged with it as fiction. And then at a certain point in her life, she realized like every word of this is autobiography. And I thought that idea was so fascinating. And I've had versions of that. I mean, I think every writer has had a version of that. The truth can come to you first as fiction, or the thing that you're writing can feel really, really far away, and then you realize you've told the truth about yourself. Um,
mm,
so I guess that is where I started, but I didn't know what that was going to look like, what those truths were going to be. Um, and then I also, I had a career as a YFP. I had 3 plays produced at like major Toronto theaters when I was 24, 25, 26, I think. And those experiences were uh, really, really interesting, really valuable, but really, really challenging as well. And so I think that's kind of where I started, and what I was thinking about.
right. Yeah, it is kind of interesting how Millie is treated at the start, right?
Mm.
With it kind of feels like Curtis is a bit of a vampire,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like at the beginning, and he gives that speech, and he's like, oh, the youngest person, so talented, and he's just eating up all of that adoration that
Yeah.
Millie is getting. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Uh-huh.
But then the minute there's a little bit of back and forth and you know what I mean, nonsense online. Oh, get away! You're the sun. You're the sun. Move. I
Mm,
can't. I
yeah.
can't be near you. And I thought that was it's very interesting because it's like there are, we have this main theme that the film is looking at, but there's all these other things as well, like communication, right? About
Mm,
like online, you know what I mean? Things that are written in the ether, but can carry more weight than the actual reality of something, which is always
yeah.
bonkers,
Yeah, that's a really good
and
observation about the film. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just the way we treat people, right? Because it's meant to be innocent until proven guilty. Wait, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Innocent. Yeah, yeah. Don't doubt myself. What am I doing? But yeah, it's meant to be that. But so many times we see that no, people are treated as if they are evil, as if they are guilty or liars, or before we know anything, and
Well,
even
yeah, like reacting to a reaction to a reaction to a reaction, you get so far away from reality, you know?
mm,
Yeah.
but it's like that circle you keep around you is so important. And we see that Millie's support system, Millie's, scaffolding isn't necessarily as strong as she may think it is.
That's true. That's true. It certainly gets tested by what happens in the film, and I'm not sure how well
Yeah.
it stands the test. Yeah.
No, because I think that's one big because you know, like I think in Pony's director's statement, she's saying she always likes to create something that has people thinking and talking after the point,
Yeah.
and think this is definitely one of those, right?
Mhm.
Because along with the treatment and everything else, you do wonder, is there a way back for some of these people,
Yeah.
right? For some of these relationships, right? Can these be mended?
Yeah.
Because we see this tentative, oh gosh, what is the word? I can't think of the word, but let's say ceasefire.
Mm.
But is that firm, solid ground, right?
Yeah.
Can we really, form strong bonds afterwards, right? And I think that's the thing that you wonder as well.
Yeah. No, the end of the film is definitely not the end of the fallout of what has
No,
been kind of, rearranged by the end of the film. Yeah. Yeah.
which is it's sad, right? Because
Yeah.
you, I think, because we've seen these situations, you know, in the media, right? We've seen them a lot, but I think where you see them over the case of months and days and weeks, it's like it's a little different. But when you see it all truncated over a very short period of time, right? Over, just under 90 minutes, I think it hits differently.
Mm.
So you are like, rah, like when have a certain reaction from your best friend, your family, right? Your
Mm.
colleagues, your idols. What does that do to you? Right? How do you come back from that? What is that trauma like? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And will she ever write a play again? It's a good question, isn't it? At the end of the play too. Yeah.
Well, it's will she ever write one again? And will she be able to write one with the same gusto, right? To the
Mm.
same potential of this one, right? Because, you might think, okay, I can write still, but I think we've seen it with authors who their first book is phenomenal. And then the second one, and
Yeah, true.
then the third book is again kind of doesn't quite get that same reaction, and nothing ever to where that first one was.
Mm.
And so it's kind of like, did they only ever have one story, or
Yeah.
is it the confidence gets rocked?
Mm.
And
That's
that's
a
what
really thoughtful
you
question.
oftentimes, because sometimes people only have one thing, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's confidence thing.
And sometimes surely one
So I
thing leads
think,
to another, you know? Like I sort
yeah,
of
for
see the
sure.
movie as like maybe Millie's going to start to remember much more, you know? Um, but yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah.
Mm. Well, yes, because it's like, where does this lead to? Because then the if everything was actually real,
Mm.
was then this, you know what I mean? Did this person admit what they'd done to anyone else? And maybe not admitted as in sitting down and be like, Ellie, I've got something to tell you. I
Mm.
did this thing. But when you're drunk, like, and you're in a stupor, you could say all manner of things.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
did it come out to the brother? You know what I mean? Did it come out to, anyone like that?
Yeah.
And they kept it quiet. Like, that's the thing. It's just like, what are the repercussions? Where does this finally settle down?
Well, yeah, thanks. That's a really interesting question. One of the things that I thought about with the kind of with the scenes between the mother and the father is that they seem so supportive through a certain lens. Like when you start the
Mm,
movie, like, oh, she's checking in, she's worried. And then once the movie develops and you learn, things that I don't want to say because I don't want to spoil anything. But once you learn things you learn later in the movie, it sort of reframes the mom's behavior and the dad's behavior
mm,
a little more controlling and a little more like gaslighting, um,
yes.
as opposed to like supportive and coddling the way it seems at the beginning of the film. Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't know, like I think we've seen that kind of behavior when people get a little uncomfortable in the fact that they may have known the truth, right?
Yeah,
They may have
exactly.
suspected things, and but they don't want, you know what I mean, the full light of day to actually hit them.
Yeah, I mean,
So
one
it
thing I think about, sorry, I want to cut you off.
oh, no, 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 no.
No, one thing I think about with this film, and just generally is like for someone to be, abused, there's such a system that has to exist around it to kind of like support it and silence it. And I mean, I feel like that's something that we're thinking about a lot in terms of like the news in America right now.
Mm,
But just generally, like that system can be, a bunch of billionaires, but it can also be like a family, and it can be a family that seems really, really nice on its surface, but they're all playing this role to kind of maintain this status quo or this myth or this sort of concealed truth. And then, yeah, what Millie is sort of doing is busting it open a bit. That's one interpretation of the film. But we really tried to make it in a way where you could come out believing something completely different than what I just said, you know.
mm, yeah.
And as the person who played her and who wrote it, I had to believe kind of in both possibilities, which was fun.
Yeah, I mean, to inhabit a role like this, right? Like, what is that like, right? Kind of preparation and what kind of self-care do you have to give and prep for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, in the self-care question, like the hardest part was that we shot this in 13 days. So any scenes you see in one location, we basically shot all those in the same day, which is like
Yeah.
crazy, right? I remember like one day that's set at the apartment. So you can think of all these scenes at the apartment. I remember looking at the list and being like, this is every important scene in the movie. Like, I better have a good day. Um, but yeah, so self-care, I mean, I I tried to rest as much as possible in the lead up. And fortunately, like I wasn't too involved with producing. We were really lucky to have a great team of producers. So I got to kind of rest in the lead up, and I got to not really think about producing, while we were shooting at all.
Yeah.
Um, or writing, I had a great script supervisor. We had a script supervisor slash AD. That's how kind of, minimal our crew was. Emma Laird Jackson, she was amazing. Um, so, yeah, and in terms of thinking about, I'd say the big challenge with her was just like there's this ambiguity and this unreliableness that has to be kind of like on the razor's edge with her at all times, but
Mm,
to kind of also be really specific in what I think. Because if the camera's really close to your face and you're just, playing ambiguity, it's not going to read well.
yeah.
So, yeah, kind of crafting that journey of her not being sure and making a decision at a certain point, and people can decide the decision was this, and they can decide it's this, and they can decide this is true to her, and they can decide that's true to her. Um, yeah, I thought a lot about performances that I've liked in movies that have had that kind of duality and that ambiguity. So you could look at it and interpret it one way versus the other. One example is like Molly Parker, who I think is amazing. Her performance in Pieces of a Woman, there's that like moment where she looks at herself in the mirror, and you could totally believe that she's thinking one thing, or you could totally believe that she's thinking another thing. And whatever
Mm,
one it is going to completely define your whole interpretation of that movie, which is about her character's, you know, guilt or innocence in the death of this newborn. So yeah, I thought a lot about that kind of work and those kinds of performances.
Right, right.
Right, I didn't know I was going to be on camera, and I just have to like get a drink of water, and I have to like
Oh,
move out of
yeah,
frame.
yeah,
So
yeah.
sorry.
No worries. Where is the...
Sorry about that.
Wait, hold on. What have I just done? Oh, we're back. Yes. No, we're all good. We're all good.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
No,
I didn't know this was on video, so I'm all dressed up.
like, do you use music at all to kind of get you into a specific mood or to help like reclaim yourself after doing something intense?
Ooh, yeah, for sure. For sure I do. And I'd say for like everything I write and most of the things I act in, depending on how big my role is, like I usually have a kind of a playlist of a few songs that I listen to again and again and that like put me in that headspace. Um, yeah, like Look at Me Now from Carolyn Polachek was one of them for this. Um, what's that great song? Pegasus by Arlo Parks featuring Phoebe Bridgers was one of them. Karen O by Sun June, one of my favorite bands.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh. All right. Yeah. Like when you're writing and you're writing like characters like these, do you think of like, oh, what would be that character's theme song? Or like
Ooh,
what kind of music would they get down to kind of thing?
that's such an interesting question. I feel like I should start thinking about that now. I feel like you've just given me this great tool, but no, not really. Um, Partly because I'm not a huge music expert. I wish I had more you know, more knowledge. I kind of know what I like and I kind of listen to what I like cyclically and you know, try to expand my horizons here and there. But yeah, that's a really great thought. Oh, you've frozen now. Our connection is so bad. Oh well.
I know, like you kind of broke up a little bit as you were like breaking
Oh,
that
I'm
down, and
sorry.
then yeah, then I froze,
Yeah, I haven't been able to
which is
speak
no, it's fine. I
this
the
whole time
gist
either.
of
So.
everything.
Sorry?
Yeah, I think, but yeah, by gods are being really irritating today, which is such a pain.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Hmm. All right, no worries though. It's all good.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So, how has writing kind of been for you? Do you think that you are kind of finding your voice, and every time now you sit down, like things get easier to kind of put together?
Mm, it's a good question. You know, I've had a kind of like my first play was a verbatim documentary play. And so, you know, I feel like those are pretty well known in England, maybe. So I don't want to explain something to you that you already know, but maybe for people that don't, it's like made from interviews and you know, verbatim interviews, and they're kind of put together to make a script for
Yeah.
a play. And so that's a kind of like, it was a very unintimidating, it was still intimidating, but I'd say an unintimidating way to start because I was, you know, crafting other people's words and I didn't have to kind of come up with the words myself, but it was teaching me to like have an ear for dialogue for sure. Because
Mm,
in verbatim plays, most of the time you like add all the ums, you add all the little minutia of how people speak. Um, um, so yeah, I mean, I would say it's gotten easier, but I think the part that's gotten easier is less like the generative part because I've always had a pretty I'm lucky to have like an easy relationship with that part. And more the kind of editing and the kind of feedback and the figuring out, what the right approach to feedback is, when you should kind of say, no, this is, I think, what it needs to be, and when you need to kind of open yourself to whatever that feedback is. I think that part is like, it's amazing to get much better at that, for
Mm.
sure. Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a valid one, right? Because you often see, right, people write something and then like all of that pushback, right, on it. Like
Yeah.
it was what the last season of oh my god, my mind's just gone blank. Game of Thrones, and you
Oh,
had everyone like going, "Oh, you should rewrite it. It's terrible." Ah, rah, rah, rah. And it's just like, I mean, it might not be for you, but to be like rewrite it is bonkers. You know what I mean?
yeah. And it's
So
kind
it's
of an
just
honor for them to be so invested. I didn't really watch Game of Thrones, to be honest, but it's kind of an honor for people to be so invested that they're like, this is what, it should be. This is how it should end. But yeah, you're not gonna make everyone happy, are you?
no, no. And I know like Rain Johnson got similar with his Star Wars film, which I mean, what I didn't love it, but what I really liked was the fact that he took chances, right?
Mm,
That he did different things with the universe. So there's a lot of times you just get same old, because I feel people don't want to offend like fans,
yeah,
right? So they're like, oh, well, we know that they like a lightsaber fight, so let me put that in. And oh, I better do this because they like that. And it's just like, you know what? Who cares? Like, write your story.
yeah,
Because
no, that's so, yeah,
yeah, no, because the amount of times like we see people not like something, and then you hear that, oh, it's become a cult classic, right? Because
yeah,
people are just so fickle, about things. And I think it's easy if a known person, right, comes out and says, I'm not that fond of it. You get a lot of people trying to ape that, cultivate their own thoughts on it. So then it can take time for people to actually go, you know what, I rewatched it and I like it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And so the narrative will change. So it's just like stick with your guns, right? Stick. It gets to a point where you can ask people and go, do you think the tone is right? Do you think the balance is correct? Like, how do you think this interaction is? But then it gets to a point where you go, okay, no, I think I've got it. I'm happy with this. So you stop asking for that feedback, because otherwise you just get a bastardization of what you initially wanted to do. You get something that's been
yeah.
watered down and chipped away so much.
And if you're giving people nothing to criticize, you're probably giving them nothing, you know?
Mm,
And I do feel like that's more and more, like, sometimes I watch things from the 2000s, to be honest, and I'm amazed how much more substantial the writing is.
mm,
You feel like in a kind of modern day world, we're so afraid of criticism because it's become so amplified online, and that makes sense, you
yeah.
know. But the risk is that you give people nothing to criticize, and so then you give them nothing, for sure, for sure. So, you got to take criticism as an honor because people have given you, because you've given them something to criticize.
Yeah. And I think it kind of depends on what that criticism is,
Hmm.
right? Because sometimes people will write, be like, that's rubbish. Don't like that. And you're just like, oh, okay. Right? I'm good. Like,
Yeah, no,
but
it's
if
true.
someone's gonna say, you know what? I thought it started really well, and I thought it was really interesting. But then we got to pivotal moment, and I just didn't think that the character committed. And you can look at something like that and go, okay, so they actually watched it, they're paying attention, and that's what they got from it. It's not to say
Hmm.
that that is right, but they've actually paid attention to the thing. And I think it's fun. It's not as bad when you get something like that, but when you just get people going, it's boring. It's just like, you know
Yeah.
what? Be quiet.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah.
With because what I think it's what Millie's third play, I think, this one, but the first at a big institution, right?
Mm. I think
That's
so, or
right.
maybe it's her fourth. Maybe there's been 3. I actually can't
Mm,
remember. We shot it a while ago.
yeah. But it's interesting that she goes straight online to look at the
Yeah.
reception of it. I was
Yeah,
just like, oh,
risky,
that's not good.
risky. Yeah, she doesn't wanna be doing that. Yeah. As she
I
learns. Mm.
yeah. I really did like the way you handled the feedback though. Because I think a lot of the times you just see someone like with their phone, and then you just see like, you know, little text bubbles pop up.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
I get a bit frustrating because I got bad eyesight and I can never read the things and everything like that. So when you bring in a character to narrate the comment, I was like, oh, I
Yeah,
like
direct to
that's
camera.
good.
Thanks, thanks so much. That was in the script, so I'll say thanks. Yeah, it was great too because we got to, have actors in those scenes and, great actors in those scenes that did a great job. Yeah. So
Mm.
nice. And that's what
And
it feels like, isn't it? Like people just like imposing on
yes,
physical space, with everything being online. Yeah, sometimes I meet people and I can't remember if I've met them this way, the way you and I are talking right now, or if we've met out in the world because the kind of
yeah.
boundary has just collapsed. So yeah, I like that the film kind of yeah, represents that visually.
Was it like, did it become instinctively to kind of think, this is how I'm going to depict this?
I think the first scene that I wrote it into was the internet commentators because I liked the idea of them all kind of sitting on the bed. Like it's kind of crashing in on Millie.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I thought that was it shows the stakes of it much better than her just kind of reading something and the audience having to read it with her. Um, and then I decided it had to happen like twice more. If something's going to happen once, you kind of got a rule of threes. And so then I wrote the other two. And yeah, the scene with the theater critic or the theater journalist, that one in
Mm,
particular, that scene is so elevated by his presence, played by the awesome Gord Rand as well. Um, and uh, and then the last one with Jonas Chernick with Uncle Mark got a lot of laughs. It's
yeah.
really
Yeah.
what he does. I love. I only noticed it when I was watching it this time. How he like looks at her for a second right before, right at the end. He's looking at the camera and then he shoots a look at her, and yeah, he nailed it.
Yeah. I thought they were all really, it's just really good. Just, and it
Mm.
kind of adds the of it all kind of
Sorry, you
thing.
cut out
It's
right at the
like,
moment that you said the word that mattered in that sentence. It adds to the what
right,
of it
yeah.
all? I'm mostly keeping up, but sometimes it cuts like a really important role and I'm word and I'm like, "Ooh." Um, what was the word?
So yeah, so it adds the sentiment of the comment,
Oh yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
I think things like that, they're because it's written online, right? It's not said to someone's face. It
Mhm.
always comes with that oddness,
Mhm.
that little bit of venom, but unwarranted. And so when you have someone actually deliver the line, they're able to really add that in and give the kind of, you know what I mean? That like,
Yeah, like the
behind it.
audacity of the kind of person writing this online matches the
Yes.
kind of audacity of like the actor just turning and looking into the camera, which I think is the
Mm,
first time that that's happened. That's the only time that that happens in the movie. Yeah, that's
yeah.
an observation. It like Yeah, that is what it feels like. That's the sentiment.
Mm. And like with marks, it's that kind of virtue signaling, you know what I mean? Like, I've decided to forgive myself. And you're just like,
Yeah,
yo, like what are
feeling
we doing?
vibes.
We're like, oh.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that was a fun scene to watch. So many of these scenes were so fun to watch with an audience for the first time, a few
Mm.
days ago at CineQuest. It was great.
Now, was it did you get the reactions at the points you were hoping for?
To be honest, I never write something and think about the reactions at the point I was hoping for. I think because I have so much experience in theater where it's like one audience will howl with laughter and then
Mm.
the next audience will be quiet and you'll assume that the quiet audience hated it. But actually they had a really good time, but none of those
Yeah.
people, want to howl with laughter or are inclined to or whatever. Um, so I feel like I wasn't expecting any reaction in particular, but I was really like delighted by the laughs. And I was really delighted, even more delightful than the laughs are like the quiet and the kind of like
Mm.
hang on to the quieter moments. And yeah, no, felt it all and it was really nice. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I think that's a really important takeaway. And I think for anyone listening, that's important to hear because I think sometimes you assume because it's quiet, it must mean
Hmm.
something's gone wrong. But we, everyone displays emotions differently.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And even sometimes where, you might be a person that laughs out loud, sometimes something just hits you in a certain way where you're just kind of transfixed and you're
Hmm.
just absorbing it. And it's just like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? Rather
Yeah.
than or oh my god, like you're just absorbing it in that moment. So it's just like it might seem that you're not having a reaction, but it's actually really, impacting you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I like to probably YFP has more like straightforward comedy than a lot of my other work. Because I think I like to write things on a razor's edge that YFP is still on, but where you're not quite sure if you should laugh. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm,
there's a lot of movies that follow a kind of formula or a framework, and I think a lot of people that watch movies looking for the formula and the framework. And what I love about like indie film and indie film audiences, and what I feel like is a good match kind of that I want to do, what I was doing in I think theater too, is I'm like really interested in writing stuff to pay like inspires a quality of attention in you, makes you pay really, really close attention because you can't decide what it is and you can't decide
yeah.
maybe if you should laugh. And I think once people decide what something is, the level of attention that they will give it, diminishes. Um, and so, yeah, I think a lot of the time too, if people aren't laughing, they're trying to decide if they should. And that's sort of the sweet spot, I think, for some of the stuff that
Mm.
I write. Yeah.
But it is kind of like that situation, in life, right? Where you can be in some awkward thing, or you could be having an important conversation, but you want to like for whatever reason, it's just
Yeah.
funny. It's just
Yeah.
I remember, oh man, one time at school, I got into it wasn't even a real fight, just me and a friend were just messing around, and the headmaster calls us into his office and he's just like, what are you doing? You cannot behave like, and I just started laughing. I just
Yeah.
start laughing my head off,
The
and he's like,
tension, the
yeah,
tension.
this is not a funny situation.
Oh
Get
no.
out of my office.
How
And
old were
then,
you?
oh man, I think it's like 14, I
Oh,
think
damn.
13, 14 at the
Making
time.
it so much worse for yourself by laughing.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But it was then he opens the door after a few minutes. It's like, are you okay to come back in and be serious?
Oh
Then I
no.
just start laughing again.
Oh
Like,
no.
I'm just that he just made shit worse, and I'm just laughing my
Oh,
head off now. And
yeah.
so he slams the door and goes back inside. And then then he comes out again, and like 5-10 minutes later, he comes back out and he's like, and I'm like, no, yeah, we're good. Well, let's go
Got
back
it together, yeah.
in. So we go back in, door shuts. I just start laughing again,
Oh my
right?
goodness.
But the phone rings, he gets called away, and it all just got forgotten.
Oh,
Like,
thank
so nothing
God.
actually
Thank
happened.
God. Oh, that's so funny. How else would it have ended? Oh my goodness.
Woo! Yeah,
Oh,
it wouldn't have been good.
but I relate to that so much, like the tension of like, something's gonna happen, and you start laughing. Yep.
Yeah, so
That's
it's just like, yeah, there's times when you will just laugh, and
mhm.
it's not the appropriate time, and there's other times where it's like hilarious and you're just deadpan,
Yeah.
right? Like, so I think there's situations where it's just like you don't have to write it necessarily
Yeah.
in this straight traditional way, because that's not always how life is, you know?
Yeah. And when you put two actors together, like I think about like Chekhov and I was an actor before I was a writer. And so like some of my early kind of writing inspiration came from like being in acting classes and Meisner
Mm,
classes where there's no text, people are just kind of connecting with each other, and how funny it ends up being and how beautiful it ends up being just because, people are beautiful, not to be all, corny, but it's true. And people, especially people trying to connect, and the kind of awkwardness and the silliness of that and the truth of that, the authenticity is just so funny, even without a script. Like anyone who's taken
mm,
a Meisner class or like a not text-based acting class, can attest to that. And you think about Chekhov, and it's not really funny when you're reading it, and then you start to act it and get it on its feed, and it's hilarious. So yeah, something you said reminds me of that.
uh, really helped your writing, coming from that actor's background.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Sorry, the first half of the question was cut out by our bad internet signal, but was the question like acting really helped your writing coming from the acting background?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. 100%. What's going on between people is so much more than, what's on the page. Like
Mm,
it's a script is like a code. And you don't really know, you haven't really cracked the code until two actors are doing it, you know, hopefully with everything they have. Um, there's certainly like great plays are like a high level code where the actor has to be so good to unlock everything that's going on and being exchanged between the two people. So yeah, coming from an acting background, um, yeah, it really helps, and it lets you. I think it relaxed me because I'd seen actors be interesting so many times, just like sitting opposite each other in a chair, in chairs, in an acting class, saying nothing. That it was like I barely need to write anything for it to be interesting. So takes the pressure off in that way. That's my neighbor's dog, if you can hear that.
He's probably just interested in the conversation.
Yeah,
He's
I
he's agreeing. He's like, "Yeah, too."
hopefully he comes to one of the screenings. We are a dog-friendly movie. We have a dog cast member who, in fact, if you wanted to meet, I could arrange like an exclusive interview with
Oh, oh, we're all about the exclusives here. So
one
yeah.
second. I didn't plan on being on
Okay.
camera, let alone, my co-star, but one second. I'm like, what is my background? I don't even know.
Ah.
So this is Conan. He plays the role of Milo. um, yeah, feel free to ask him any questions that you might have.
Milo, how did you feel when you were described as a I forget
Oh
the
yeah,
word here, like a beast, a
yeah,
savage?
a wild beast.
Yes.
Man, um, I mean, I wouldn't want to answer for him, but yeah, Claudia Day does such a good job with that role. It's amazing. And she, she's one of my favorite living writers. You might know her as a novelist. She's also an actor, of course, an amazing actor. Um, and she was a YFP, so it was so perfect having her play Millie's mom.
Mm.
Because yeah, she wrote lots of wonderful plays when she was, you know, a young woman, a younger woman, and like Trout Stanley. Um, Trying to think of the other one. Yeah, lots of great plays. Hmm.
Uh-huh. Like, were those, I mean, obviously you have your own experience, but did you draw on like people like her experience for Millie?
Not directly, although I was lucky enough to do the audiobook for her novel Daughter. That's how we met. Um,
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, it was really special because that novel is like, everyone should read it. Daughter, by Claudia Day. It's incredible. Her other novels are incredible too. Heartbreaker, is also one of my faves. But Daughter is like, yeah, one of my favorite books I've ever read, and I'm lucky enough to do the audiobook and to know the writer. And it is about a young female playwright. So I I did the audiobook, I guess around the same time I was working on the script. So
oh,
I didn't
nice.
draw on her experiences. I've never had a firsthand account of her, like a specific firsthand account of her experiences. We've talked
Yeah.
kind of generally, but mostly we're talking about the present. Um, but, you know, I'm sure I was influenced by that novel. And it felt great to inhabit. Like I remember doing that audiobook and being like, it's strange how many lines in this are I can just speak the truth about my own life. It's like at 24, I had my first play on and there was a big poster of my face. I was like, that's really specific and that's true, about my life, but also about her life. So yeah, um, she did a great job. And Rick Roberts, who plays my dad, he's the father in real life. He's, a very esteemed Canadian actor. But he's the father as well of our esteemed cinematographer, Ben Roberts. So that was really special having them play my parents. And, they're just perfect, perfect for it. So yeah.
Mm. Did a really good job,
Hmm.
like everything was very believable.
Mm,
We saw like rocks.
yeah.
Ooh, your your flatmate, right? So
I know, complicated
she
person.
definitely
Oh no, I just lost you for an extended period of time. Hmm. Oh no.
brought that energy.
I lost you for such a long time there that I'm not sure what the question was, but rocks, Knox, yeah, amazing.
Okay.
Oh,
She really brought the energy for that
yeah,
role, right?
yeah, she's
Of that
amazing.
kind of friend, but things are kind of crazy with her.
Yeah, yeah. No, I wrote that role for Knox, who directed my first film as a writer and an actor. She's remarkable. And, I knew she would understand, she's directed my first feature, so I knew she would understand and be able to unlock what was in the script. And Knox, has an amazing energy in real life, similar to the character. And similar to the character, she has a really strong moral compass. One thing that I really like about Rox is her duality of like, you know, she'll sleep with all three men playing dad and Mamma Mia, but she actually thinks that Millie lying about this person is like a really big, she has a lot of integrity. She thinks it's a really big kind of breach of trust, and she takes it really seriously. And she doesn't support Millie's sort of what she perceives as opportunism. And I think that Knox, you know, similarly is a person of great integrity and has a strong kind of moral conviction. And then also like an outrageous, you know, fun energy. So yeah, that's why I had her in mind. And what a performance! I love her performance in this movie.
Yeah, I thought the moment. Oh, I'm not sure. I think I've frozen.
Yeah, but I can hear you, which is an improvement.
Oh,
Because, but you are
oh,
frozen.
okay,
You're back.
okay. Yeah, that's good. Like I really thought the moment of her realization was,
Yeah.
oh, that was busy. You that right? You felt like her just get hit with the understanding and then the realization of how she cheated.
Mm,
Like it was just unjustified.
yeah.
So I thought that was a you know what I mean, she really sold you on that.
Yeah. No, she's amazing in this movie. And I think the way she listens, like she's such a brilliant actor in the way she listens to me as Millie talking about, you know, some of the bigger scenes. Like there's so much in her listening that helps the audience walk that tightrope of like what is true and what is not true, because she almost
Mm,
embodies the audience's doubt. You know, and the
yes.
audience could completely buy in to what she believes. Like that's how strong her performance is. So yeah, it's uh, Karen Knox. She's amazing. She has a show coming out in the fall on Crave called Slow Pitch. So everyone should watch it. Give that a little
Uh,
plug.
I wonder if it will make it across the pond.
I suspect it will. With what with the, you know, success of Heated Rivalry. This is also a
Mm,
gay sports show, so everyone should check it out.
right. But that heated rivalry,
I
which
know. I know.
be interesting, especially because it's about ice hockey, and that's something that does not seem to travel, right? Like ice hockey seems to be something that is very popular in certain places,
Mm.
in others. So the fact that that show has kind of blown up everywhere is kind of bonkers.
Yeah, I'm really happy for everyone involved. It's amazing. And, you know, a really small budget Canadian show. I think it's really, you know, there's been a lot of big budget things that have wanted to blow up like that and haven't. And I think it's
Mm,
it's really interesting that in this day and age where you can buy so much online attention, um, there's still a purity to what people want to watch and what catches on. And it's exciting.
yeah. I mean, I think that's always, you know, I think the thing because you get people going, oh, you should, you know, you should follow this trend and you should do this and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. Or it's just like, oh, a film of this length won't work. Or, you know, if
Or
you
this
have this
budget.
lead, it won't
Yeah.
work. But it's just like good if the story is compelling, you know,
Yeah, I
and
think that's right.
we see it with things like that.
Yeah. No, it's very inspiring. Certainly in the filmmaking world, you know, there's a lot of belief that, you know, budget equals impact and journey and possibilities for the
Yeah.
film. And, you know, it's really exciting. It's really exciting to kind of prove that wrong. Um, you know, make movies for not a lot of money and have them go around the world. And yeah, it's really exciting.
Because I'm not quite sure, but I don't think there's any big stars in that show, is there?
In Heat of Rivalry,
Yeah.
I mean, there are now, and Sophie Nélès, who was in Yellow Jackets, was probably the most well-known actor, before it blew up.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, no, it was a really low budget production in Canada. Like those
Mm,
originals are, hopefully they're way bigger budgets now, but when they were making Heat of Rivalry, I don't think they were huge budget productions.
yeah, which again speaks to that thing, right? Because everyone's just like, oh, you hear about these great scripts and but then when it gets to production, they're like, oh no, we can't have that person in the role. You've got to bring a bigger person, otherwise no one's gonna watch it. And
Mm,
it's always this kind of thing. And it's just like there's certain actors who like if we look at Marty Supreme,
oh yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I need to.
oh my days, it is so good,
Oh, is
right?
it? Yeah, I've heard.
To be completely taken over by a film about table tennis
Yeah,
is just like, table tennis is not like people love it, but it's not big.
yeah,
Like to the same level of like if you think about football and the NFL and the NBA and UFC, it's not one of them. So for a film about table tennis to be that like captivating is crazy. But Chalamet, he's one of these people that he's not Timothy Chalamet in a film, right? He
yeah,
inhabits the
I agree.
role.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of actors, and I don't know, sometimes it gets to a point where they kind of just become themselves in things. I think what I thought was really interesting was Johnny Depp, right? After the first Pirates film, and that blew up so much, I think we got to a bit of a moment where he was a bit piratesy. I forget his character's name, but he was that kind of character in a lot of things.
right.
But then I remember he did an indie film, like the Rum Diaries, which was really freaking good. You were just like, I forgot that Johnny can really kill it on a performance because he really then became oh my days, he was fuck, he was that journalist who was a drunk and I cannot remember the name of the dude, but he's a really good journalist and he covered
Yeah.
a load of different things. But he really, man, he really gave an incredible performance in Rum Diaries. And you were just like, fuck, he can really do it, right? He doesn't, Jack Sparrow, that's it. He doesn't have to be Jack Sparrow in everything. And I think you can fall into that trap at times, or, oh, people love this and I'll give them this. But,
Mhm.
when you know what I mean? So it's just like, if you cast an unknown, I mean, they're inhabiting the role, right? And it's people aren't necessarily like, I didn't come to Marty Supreme for Chalamet, right? I came for the acting ability. I came for
Mm,
Safdie's script because Uncut Gems and everything like that is so good. But it's just like I knew it wasn't dependent on the actors for what
yeah,
that would be. And I think, you know, an actor's name can sell something to an extent, but I don't necessarily think it's to a detriment to have an unknown in a role, or someone that does, has done a few things but not hasn't got a whole load of credits under their name, right? I
Yeah.
think people will still gravitate to it if it's good,
Yeah, well, I feel
and
like,
I
yeah,
think,
that's what heated rivalry proves.
yeah.
Sorry if I'm cutting you off and
No, no,
saying
no.
that.
I mean, you just said the thing I was gonna say, man. I
Yeah,
think that it's just that shining example of that, right? And a big name doesn't necessarily have to be the thing to sell it. Whereas if people find it engrossing, they're just gonna come back. They're gonna engage. They're gonna talk about it. They're gonna recommend it.
yeah, and characters are as specific as, people and as specific as actors. And so, you know, getting the best person for the role, I'm always amazed as a writer, and I've done some kind of like low level casting assisting, like reading
Mm.
opposite actors. I used to have a job reading opposite actors that were auditioning for a casting director who's also cast me. But it's so interesting to sit on the other side and watch auditions because it's a completely different story with one actor versus the other, even if
Mm.
they're a equal skill, because what people bring, what they carry around with them in the world and what they kind of accumulate from living their specific lives is so specific in the way it kind of activates a character that, two great, equally valid interpretations can be like miles apart. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, I feel like cast the famous person when they're, right for it for sure. But yeah, I think openness, um, yeah, means we can have even more like specific characters. I would agree with you there. And
Mm.
Timothy is so, I haven't seen the movie, but from what I gather, he's so specifically well suited to that character. Not because it's him, but because something about him activates it in this really special way.
Yeah, he just brings this energy because
Hmm.
it's just like this character, it's this guy that, and it's actually based on a real table tennis player,
Yeah.
right? But it's just like he's this person that wants to make table tennis his full-time gig, right? He wants to elevate the game. And so if that's the case, there has to be this cutthroatedness, right? There has to be
Mm,
this determination, this kind of I will succeed, this arrogance.
yeah.
And he brings you all of that, right? But
Yeah.
it's also you have this then this other kind of sub storyline of this girl who, he's known her all, they she's married, but they fool around, like, he cares for
Yeah.
her, but, like,
Is that
I don't
Odessa
want
Ozion?
she is so incredible in the
Yeah.
film.
Oh my
She
goodness. I
really,
believe you.
oh, man, she blows you
Yeah.
away, but
Well,
it's like,
I was blown away by her in something I saw, like, I feel like it didn't take off, but there was this Netflix series, Grand Army. It was shot in Toronto. It was based on a play. I thought it was pretty good. It's been a while now. It didn't get a second season, but she starred in that. And I remember watching and being like, who is this? She's incredible.
mm,
So I'm sure she's incredible in that movie. And I kind of want to see
oh,
it just for her.
man,
And for other
like,
reasons, also just for her.
yeah. No, I think they all embody these roles,
Yeah.
right? And they sell you on the journey of these characters because you then see like this, you know, like in your film, and you see realization of Rocks, where she's like,
Yeah.
oh, I get the truth. You have that similar situation in Marty Supreme, where Marty realizes what's actually important to him.
Mm,
And it's just like, oh, Timothy just sells you on that. And
yeah.
it's like this kind of redemption, this full circle in the story. And it's just, oh man, it's so good.
Oh man,
Yeah, I
you've
think
got
you're
me
gonna.
excited to see it. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, no, transformation, like witnessing that is just so special. You know, even if you're like going to a
Mm,
wedding, you're witnessing people walk in as fiancés and walk out as husband and wife. It's so special to ever, you know, witness any kind of like transformation in front of your eyes and or a character realizing something. And yeah.
yeah. Oh man, yeah. There's definitely like a magic to that when it's got that authenticity about it and it doesn't
Hmm.
just come off as like scripted or auto cued or anything like
Yeah.
that. And you just like, oh boy.
And the
Yeah.
cool thing about acting is it has to kind of happen for the person too, you know? Like the actor, if the character is being changed by something, chances are the actor is also being changed by it.
Mm,
Yeah, it's cool.
yeah. But it is all that always that thing that is so like it's such an interesting thing because you go in like how much of that transformation, right? How much of that performance embeds itself in that person, right?
Mm.
When the lights go off, what is, you know what I mean? How much of that is left with that person? You know what I mean? Like, what then do they carry with them going forward and into the next role and into the next role and just into everyday life, you know?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. I guess that's why we're drawn to following actors' careers and stuff, in part because of that curiosity. Yeah.
I mean, I do I I remember watching oh what was it? The oh my days. What's Eating Gilbert great? The Basketball Diaries, that was it.
Oh, yeah.
um, with Leo. And I really liked those films. And then you had Romeo and Juliet, which was
Yeah.
great.
Oh, they're so
I
gorgeous and
I
yeah.
I then kind of felt that he hit this plateau. And I just got a bit bored. But
Mm.
I then saw him in oh, what was it now? I know it was something before Wolf of Wall Street, but I
The
was then
Aviator? Like, he was really good in The Aviator.
no, I haven't seen that one. I
I think
can't
that
yeah, I
I
can't
might be
quite
I might be
remember.
wrong, it's been a while.
But I just saw this transformation. I just saw this incredible evolution bringing to the damn, that's incredible. You know what I mean? And then ever since, it's just watching him and these different performances. It's just fascinating. And I think sometimes you can see it in people. I think like Clooney, early
Mm.
on, I didn't think he was great in films, right? Like he's not terrible, you know, by any means, but I mean, you just go, maybe he's just a TV actor. Maybe that's the strength right there. But then again, I forget the role, but you just see him in a certain role, and you're just like, "Oh man, he's found his stride." Like, what
Mm.
the fuck happened there? Like, that's like, boom, he's just transformed himself. And it's just so interesting. Like, some people just from jump, they've got it. And some people, it takes a minute, right?
Yeah,
But
and the
when
right
they
role has to
find,
find you at the right time too, right?
mm,
Yeah. I feel like if you're going through something, I think a lot about, and maybe there's a movie about this that exists already, or maybe there's one to be made. But sentimental value a bit, right? Like the right role has to find you at the right time, and it can be a great role, but the wrong time for you to do it. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
for
it's
sure. Man, yeah, it's just so there's so much to think about, right? And
Mhm.
just as someone watching in, but for you guys, right, for writing and acting, there is so many different factors that you have to comprehend with to be
Mm,
able to, deliver something. And then even after that point, right, you've done your job, you've delivered, but then it's like the distribution, right? How are they going to push this thing, right? Right? How,
mm.
like, will it come out at that moment that's perfect, or does it come out at the same time as something else? And then everyone's
Yeah.
attention is on that other. Because I heard, oh my days, I forgot the name of the film. But the film, I know Sean Penn's in it. Another kind of a mob film, but I think it
The
came
one
out.
this year? Oh no, back in the
No,
day.
this was
Okay.
ages ago, but it came out at the same time as Goodfellas.
Mm,
And so good, like everyone resonated to
yeah, of
Goodfellas, and
course.
no one really paid attention to this other film.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's like, you know what I mean? What's the chance of that, right? You can't predict that. You don't know. So it's
Yeah.
just like there's so many factors that can really just change the narrative on your project.
No, totally. And then the news cycle and viral videos,
Mm,
it's such an interesting time to be alive. I think it's calmed down a bit now, actually, versus like a few years ago. But a few years ago, like a video would go viral, and it felt like it was all that everyone would talk about for like a
yeah.
week. And if that's some kind of, viral moment that passes, but it interacts with your thing in a weird way, that's gonna kind of influence things. Yeah. But I mean, all you can do, and I feel a lot of like peace and pleasure in this. This is all that I've done, from the time I started making things. All you can do is kind of make the thing you want to make,
Mm,
um, and be guided by what you want to see. Because with movies too, it's going to exist forever. So there's certain
yes.
things you can put out and they'll be more trendy in the market one year or another. But can you look back at that in 20 years and really, love it and be proud of it? So yeah. And I
Oh,
and I think I will be of this film.
mm, well, it it really does, I think, do a great job of just addressing this, this situation that we've seen, right?
Mm,
We've known about, we've watched happen in real life. You know what I mean? And it's it's really believable in the way it's performed, right? In the way
sa
everyone interacts with Millie and then pushes away from Millie, right? Just all of those
yeah,
things.
yeah,
I think it really does a fantastic job and isn't trying to play it safe.
yeah,
I think that's the great thing about it. It's not trying to play it safe. It's not doing that thing of showing you one thing and then halfway through the film, it's just like, oh, well, this happened. All right. But
yeah.
we haven't seen any evidence of that thing.
Mhm.
So it's hard to then change course now and get on to the fault of this thing because you didn't show us anything,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I think how you put this together, how you decided to tell this story, you did it in a way that I think can really resonate with people.
Thank you so much. That's so kind. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Like, yeah, all your observations and your questions been so nice. And yeah, like something slippery. It's really nice to talk to someone who appreciates, yeah, making something that you can't quite pin down and that is slippery and that you're thinking about, in the days that follow.
Mm, mm. Like, I mean, I've had you for a while, but I just want to ask you one
No.
quick thing, if I can,
Yeah.
before you may have to go. But the dance sequence,
Yeah.
like,
Aren't they amazing?
Now, it is so interesting. I feel it's so interesting, and it is just like, you know, it does seem like a perfect way to kind of. But when I was watching it, I was wondering, like, are like, were you kind of going with it that I don't know, like females can be looked at as performative, right? And
I
I don't
didn't
know, like I was
Yeah, I didn't
is that
think about that specifically. I do feel like I tried to build the movie so that we could judge Millie and kind of by extension me, because there's obviously a very clear link. More so, like we're gonna announce a Toronto screening, a really exciting one in a few weeks, and more so for like local, like Canadian audiences who might know my background as a playwright, and
mm,
especially in Toronto. But Millie, Ellie, like we have very similar names. There's something in the movie where I'm inviting people to wonder, similar to what happens in the movie itself. I'm inviting people to wonder about the movie, how true or real or made up it might be. And I'm
mm,
inviting people to judge Millie, and so I'm also kind of inviting people to judge Ellie. Um, so in that sense, yeah, like being performative, that can absolutely be, you can judge Ellie as that. Um, and that's why then what you learn later is more complicated by the fact that you've already judged her. Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's a good observation.
Yeah, no, because I just think it's just like I think sometimes you make us these assumptions, right? Someone has to be a certain way, right? Someone has to carry themselves like this or like that.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that's what made me wonder about the routine. I'm like, oh, are we going, look, this is, you know, the
Oh, you've cut out. This is the.
but it's like that swan, right? On the surface, you see it, but underneath the water, it's like
Oh yeah, I lost you for a big chunk of that, but then I came
ah.
back for the swan and the under and the sorry, our connection's so bad. Um, yeah, I mean, I have to give a shout out to those incredible dancers. They're the dancers of Rock Bottom movement. They're incredible and they're international. So, if you're watching this anywhere in the world, you should look them up because they might have a residency, in your city.
Uh,
And choreographed and directed by Alyssa Martin, who's the creator of Rock Bottom Movement. Um, yeah, and Pony came up with the idea for the dance sequence opening, and I think
okay.
it really sets the stage, no pun intended, and around the idea that there are going to be multiple representations of Millie, and
Mm,
with all the people, matching her hair, and this one's not real, but that one is real. It was a really great idea from Pony, that opening.
mm,
Yeah, and then it bookends nicely. Well, not to give anything away.
yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Man, I've definitely enjoyed. I think that's the beauty of this. Is like you can watch something and just be really fascinated by it, and then you get to have a conversation and be like, "Oh, so yeah, what was the thought? Like, what was the
Yeah.
driving force about this thing?" And you get to, you can delve into all of those kind of topics and everything, which is great.
Yeah, no, it's so awesome. This is why I love film festivals too, and like traveling with a film to festivals. You get to have so many rich conversations. And you've made me think about things that like I, you know, I wrote this and someone can still ask you a question that makes you think about it in a way where you're like, I've never thought about it like that. And it's so exciting and really nice. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
I don't know, like I think it's easy. I always say it's easy to talk about something when it is like just done so well, right? When just these components come together, like you've got a great cast, the
You've been
director, the
amazing. Yeah,
cinematography, like the script,
yeah,
just all of these things just
Ben,
work. So it's
cinematographer.
easy to nice things about that work because it sits with you, right? It resonates, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really lovely to say. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Yeah, I have to say everyone on the team is just incredible. Like, have to shout out, yeah, Pony Nicole Herauf, the director, who can't be here because she's actually from Telefilm, or not from Telefilm. Telefilm paid for our flights, which was nice of them, but she's flying home from CineQuest.
Ah,
And then Ben Roberts, the cinematographer. I'm on San Jose time, so that's why I'm kind of like dopey. But Ben Roberts, the cinematographer, Mina Sewell Mancuso, who edited it, and yeah, just like an amazing cast, like Raul Beneja, Colin Mockery, Karen Knox, Jonas Chernick, more and more, just like a really
mm.
people. Yeah.
I did love that bit towards the end when he's like, should we? Oh, what is it? Was it pizza? Should we go and get pizza, mom? And it's just like,
Oh
oh
yeah, a
man,
burrito. Oh, isn't that amazing? Yeah, so that's Jake Eastcott.
yeah.
And he is the real life fiance of the director, Pony. So
Uh,
yeah, yeah, no, it's great. There's nothing like being directed by someone to make out with their fiance. But, but yeah,
yeah,
and
that
he's
must be interesting.
yeah. Yeah, and he's so good in the role. Like I wrote the role for him. I can't imagine anyone else doing it. Like he's so dry, he's so funny. He did great improvs in some of those scenes. Like he made me look good with some really nice funny improvs. So yeah, no, a really great team and kind of all in the family, you know.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm. And
it's
I think one thing that was interesting about that as well, it just again it showed those different relationships with
mm,
Millie. In working with someone who I don't know, I got the sense that right that he wanted to be this only star,
yeah,
right? So it was kind of going, I mean, it's your first thing, right? Yeah,
I
well,
know, I know.
I've actually, and it says, it was always just like, well, no, I'm the author. I'm the recognized star here.
Yeah,
You're
and
just this interloper.
it's so funny how easily he gets her goat too. Like so much of the comedy of that is like, he really gets to her,
Yeah.
and she really has something to prove to him, which fortunately you grow out of, but feels like a Y part of the YFP. A very young
Mm.
thing. And yeah, no, I really enjoyed writing him as like her nemesis. She has a few nemesis, of course, but that's a really good one. Yep.
Oh man. Yeah. No, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, he killed it.
Do you oh sorry.
Oh, I think there's a lag. I just said he killed it. What were you gonna say? Do you?
Right, right. No, I was just wondering, like, do you kind of have your eye on your next kind of lot of projects to get into? Because I think after something like this, people are just gonna be wanting to, see you in the next thing.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel really lucky to have kind of a lot of good stuff kind of lined up for the next little bit, both in terms of writing and acting. I had a busy year as an actor last year. Um, I shot a Davin Langle series that I helped write, like the lead in that. It's called Silver Cord. The teaser got like an insane amount of online attention. So
Mm,
Davin is a brilliant genius and very good with like sci-fi and special effects and things that I've been really grateful to kind of like learn about and have exposure to through him, like really cool storytelling tools, but that are so outside of my experience at this point.
yeah.
Um, Yeah, Silver Cord. I have a small part, or a part, I should just say, in a big movie called Everybody Wants to Fuck Me, if I'm allowed to swear, or Everybody Wants to F Me, if not.
Right.
Um, and it's like it's a movie produced by like Lucky Chap, which is the company that did like Barbie and Saltburn and
Oh, yeah, that's Margaret Robbie's company, I
yeah,
think, isn't
yeah,
it?
and Parkville Pictures and Studio Canal and Film 4. So I'm really, honored to have any part in that
Mm.
because I was a big Barbie fan. I love what Lucky Chap.
Ah,
So yeah, and then I have a book that I wrote
ooh.
I have an agent for it now, and I'm kind of doing the final revision before we're gonna send it out, which is really exciting. I'm really proud and excited of that. And then, yeah, I
Nice.
have feature development and TV in development. I'm really spoiled at the moment and a little bit overwhelmed. Yeah, but
Hey, it's good to be busy, and I think you're only busy because, people have gravitated to the talent, right? If you weren't putting out good performances, people wouldn't be, knocking down the door trying to get you to do projects.
well, that's very kind. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I'm really inspired and like lucky that the people that I work with, make me look good. And that is definitely the case in YFP, in Young Female Playwright. Yeah.
Mm. Are you going to do the audio? Like, are you going to read your book do for the audio version?
I'm sure I will, yeah. I actually
Right.
just did an audiobook recently and I thought, is the next time I do one of these gonna be my own book? That's pretty weird. Um, yeah, I might know it by heart. It's pretty long, but I've worked on it for so long and like finessed it so much and I'm still finessing that maybe I'll even know it by heart by the time I do the audiobook, honestly. Yeah.
Oh man. So how can people keep track of everything that you're doing? Because you know what I mean? It looks like you're busy. So like people won't want to be missing any of this stuff. So how can they keep track of you?
I mean, mostly I post on Instagram. My handle is at Ellie Mooner. So, ELLIEMOON, which is my name, and then ER at the end of it. Sometimes when people meet me now, they think my name is Ellie Mooner, and it's not. Just Ellie Moon was taken. So I'm Ellie Mooner on Instagram. And yeah, I have a website that I'm not very good at like updating. I think it's like, what is it? www.elliemoon.org. Mostly I made it to clarify that my name wasn't Ellie Mooner. Uh, but yeah, yeah, that's where you can find me. Yeah. Is Echo
Oh
Chamber,
dear.
you said you're on YouTube and you're on Instagram. Like what about you?
Yeah, so the podcast is on Instagram and YouTube, probably the most places that people find it. There is I do have an X page, but
Oh yeah.
I just never have time to post everything to it. Because there was a point where you could roll everything out to all of them, but then they kind of cut
Yeah.
off Twitter and X, which was so irritating. So it's just like
Yeah.
forget to actually post to it. But Instagram, YouTube, that's where it's obviously Spotify and Apple Music. That's where people will
Oh
be able
yeah.
to find the episodes, which is all
Oh,
good. And so you're going to be doing like some more screenings of Young Female Playwright.
we are. I don't think I can announce. What's the date today? Yeah, I can't announce for another like 10 days.
Oh,
Um,
boo.
I know. I know. I have to say they're really exciting. It was hard to do like the press for CineQuest and to not be able to say, to not be able to say and to do the Q&As and to not be able to say. But it'll be really, really And when we stop recording, I'll tell you where we're screening.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but follow me on Instagram, and 10 days later you'll know. 10 days from now, or whenever it is.
Oh, tremendous.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, people, all the links will be on the webpage for the episode. So make sure that you follow Ellie, because she's got a lot coming up, and you will definitely want to be on board to check it out. And definitely you want to check out Young Female Playwright, because it's intense, it's hard hitting, but it is extremely well done, and it will have you thinking a lot once you leave the room or press stop on the TV. So I really appreciate you
Well,
stopping
thank
by
you so much.
so much.
Thanks so much for helping us get the word out. Really appreciate it. Yeah. And
Ah,
thanks for your kind, words and thoughtful questions. Very
oh,
nice.
no problem at all. And I always know when AJ sends me anything, I know it's going to be good. So
Oh, that's cool.
again, she doesn't fail. So
Yeah.
I was very
Thanks for everything
pleased to get this in my inbox.
Oh, thank you so much, Kevin. Thanks so much.
No
Have a
worries.
great evening. Yeah, you still got a nice evening ahead in England, right? You're ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it is coming up to 1 a.m. So
Oh, no, you're behind. Never mind. Never
yeah.
mind. Wow, you have more reason than me to be tired. Um,
Oh, this
darn.
is still early for me. So
Oh,
I'm
really? Really?
yeah.
Yeah. I'm an early to bed type these days, boring. Well, that's awesome. Yeah, the middle of the night in London, that would feel like a creative time for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I think I'll probably still do a little bit of work to get these episodes ready to go out at some point over the weekend. But yeah, you know,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Have a good
no,
night.
you too. You too. Enjoy the rest of your day, and have a superb weekend.
Thank you so much. You too, Kevin.
All
Thanks.
right. Take care, Ellie.